Hi, folks. Welcome to the latest edition of The Lowdown by Analysis.tech. Thanks for joining. Listen, if you're enjoying the show, if you want to help us get the word out to some like-minded folks, just go ahead and hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. Hey, today's a cool one. As we continue down our path, which is mostly, I think, John, at this point, it's basically we are in the low code meets AI/vibe coding world. That seems where our world is going, and it's interesting because the world is not all the same, right? And one of the things we try to do here on the Lowdown is maybe bring to the forefront some of the vendors in the space who are doing interesting things outside of the geographies that we normally work in. And we spend a lot of time in North America and Western Europe, but there are a lot of geographic components and a lot of geographic considerations in terms of choosing a vendor, and we want to introduce you to one that's actually pretty cool and has been around in some form or another for almost 2 decades. So today we have Jeff Kuo from Ragic, which is Rapid Magic. Hey Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Hello. Hi, Rob. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, we're delighted. John, say hi to Jeff and kick us off here.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Jeff, welcome. Thanks for staying late in Taiwan to join our show. We're very excited to talk to you and learn from you. One of the themes that we have been exploring forever, Jeff, even when Rob and I were at Forrester researching low code, was the prospect of business people building applications, and either in whole or in part. And this is something that you guys have been working on, and something that you focus on as Ragic. So we're very excited to talk to you about that today, and we're very excited to talk to you about the scene in Taiwan and East Asia. But first, Jeff, we like to start our podcasts by asking our guests about their journey. What brought you to this point in Ragic's history? And maybe tell us something that a lot of people don't know about you, just for fun.
Okay. One interesting fact, like a lot of even our friends at Ragic doesn't know, is that Ragic is kind of the topic of my master's thesis. Huh. So I wrote actually like conference and journal articles, paper, and about this kind of the new way to quickly build applications that can be semantically integrated with other database systems. Because it's an academic paper, so it has to have more academic components in it. But in my master's defense, I actually built a prototype, a demo for it, which is like the oldest original version of Ragic. So it's actually something that I worked on when I was a graduate student, and when I was like doing a lot of part-time work with big manufacturing companies in Taiwan. Actually, it's from my experience in TSMC, like the largest company in Taiwan. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually back when I was working in a fab in TSMC, because I was doing a lot of part-time jobs, writing code. So we were on the project development team that they are teaching us, like, because I had no work experience and I don't know anything outside of coding. So they have to teach us how they maintain these huge machines inside these fabs to make chips, and what they need to do to keep them running, and what they do when they see some alerts come out of them. So we're building a system for them to automatically manage those alerts and manage those periodic maintenance events for them. So we're building a database for them. So what they have to do is teach us all about how they manage all these machineries to build IC chips. So it took them a lot of time to explain all these processes, so that I knew nothing about IC design or how to manufacture them. So they have to have a lot of software spec telling us what to put in those databases. So it just hit me because I kind of just learned about database and coding for like a year or a couple of years, and they have been spending their whole life learning IC design and manufacturing. So it should be the other way around, because I don't know that much about coding. I only have a couple of years experience. They are teaching us about so much stuff about how to do their work, just so that I can put them into code to build the application. So it just occurred to me that it wouldn't be a lot easier the other way around, because designing a database application is not that difficult, because it's a lot of those work are really routine and mechanical. So I thought maybe I could design something that they can learn quickly, so that they can put all their domain knowledge into this database system and build an application that they want, so that they don't have to keep on telling me, this new guy here, how all of them, how their machines work. So
cut out the middleman, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cut out the middleman.
Because I would imagine
let the expert build the system. That you've just described a great case for what we call, nobody likes the term, but what we call citizen development.
Of course, yes.
Thanks, John. So, Jeff, you've been in this citizen developer game for a while now with Ragic. So, great example around working in a chip manufacturing environment. But where else have you sort of seen these transformations taking place as we bring the business closer to the development process? What are some of the stories that you have with Ragic where you've seen maybe some transformational type results?
When I'm seeing the companies or organizations getting the most benefits and seeing these kind of transformations, they usually start by enabling the whole team to learn how to use a tool like these. Because usually there are two types of implementations. And the first one is that they have a very clear idea of what they want to build. So they kind of do it like a project. So that, I cannot find a packaged software that does exactly what we want. So we think, this is a great tool to customize a whole application system just for this requirement. So that usually works well, but it doesn't transform the organization, because a lot of times only the key person, who's the product manager or the project manager of that specific application, learns the application really well. But most people on their team or in other teams, they don't really learn how to use the application. But in other cases, we start with the education. We start with training. So we train the key people from multiple teams, multiple departments, and let them know that what this kind of product can do, and put it as one of their goals to digitalize their team's internal processes. And usually if we do this, we see kind of a more transformative effect, that whenever they encounter a problem, they're going to think, is this something I can solve with Ragic? Is this something we could digitalize? We could really make it work in a smarter way, because it will become part of their employee culture. So I see like a couple of companies that I encountered that are a great example of this. And one of the biggest one is the Taipei city government that introduced Ragic like about 5 years ago. A little bit over 5 years ago. So we started by training all these different government agencies inside the Taipei City government, City Hall. They have over 20,000 employees there. So basically, we start by training the key person in each agency, so that they can know that, we have this tool, and this is how I can use this tool to digitalize our processes, because especially government agencies, they have lots and lots of paperwork, lots of stuff that they keep on paper or keep on Excel. And these kind of things, like, they can really help them like do approval, and they can and have people go outside and have them pad to do these kind of processes out there in the field. So it worked out really well for them. And another organization that worked out really well is actually IHG, the hotel chain in Taiwan. And so similarly, and they have all the different teams and different departments in their hotels. They learn how to use Ragic to do a lot of small things, from checking the mini bars if they are filled, to checking if the refrigerators are at the right temperature. I see they have tons of very little things that they are implementing, and these are the kind of measures that when you find a vendor, you're not going to find a software vendor to come in and build a system for people to check if the minibar's there. It's something that only comes out when the seasoned developer aspect is embedded into the employee culture. Then they're going to spend a little bit of time to do all these small things so that they can have a more automated, more smart way to check for minibars and check the refrigerator temperature. So I think these are great examples of organizations who have these kind of tools embedded in their culture.
Have you seen companies also applying citizen developer labor, expertise to larger systems, Jeff?
You mean more complex, like not just small places?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
And that's actually one of the things that Ragic is better at, because in my personal opinion, and Ragic is kind of, they have a lot of more powerful features for the no code part. So that in the no code part, what you can do with Ragic with zero code, you can actually build pretty complex applications. You can basically build a full-fledged ERP system without a line of code. So a lot of things that you would usually maybe write code for, like updating the inventory in the warehouse for certain items. And these things, you don't actually need to write code to do that on Ragic. So we do see people even use Ragic as an ERP system to manage these kind of pretty complex data flows. So we are seeing these kind of things. And those kind of applications are the stuff that Ragic has spent years working on. So that, because we believe that we want Ragic to be a tool to solve real world enterprise problems. And real world enterprise problems are complex. They always have complex and data relations. They always have these complex business logic rules. So we've added a lot of features so that you can make pretty sophisticated database applications on Ragic.
Got it. So we've entered a new moment with AI, with AI generated applications, AI generated code, content, etc. So all you need to do is provide to a conversational interface a description of what you want the AI to build for you. Sounds like that will open the door to a lot more involvement of citizens in creating applications. Do you see it that way? Is this really going to be a game changer, Jeff?
Well, we definitely hope that's the case. And we really hope that's the case, because for years before these LLM AIs emerge, the biggest obstacle is kind of the learning curve, that people have to kind of learn the tool before they are able to build the application, especially for a tool like Ragic, because even though we're mostly no code, but because we're trying so many complex stuff for people to build these sophisticated things. So it's kind of has a little bit more steep learning curve than most other products in the same field. So we're really counting on AI to be able to smooth out this field, this learning curve, so that new users don't have to learn every configuration, that how to do these kind of things in Ragic, so that AI can help do them for the users, for especially for the new users. So we're definitely counting on this, and the result has been kind of mixed, because the technology is there. The technology is not that difficult to have AI do these things, but the difficult thing is to change human behavior. So we were thinking that, oh wow, this is so great, so easy. We just put a dialogue there, and people will just talk to AI, and they'll build their application. But it's actually, we're facing the same problem that these system analysts, when they're facing their customers. The customers doesn't know how to give you every single detail about what their system should be. They have no idea how to structure that and how to explain every single detail. Not necessarily every single detail, the important structure, the details of the business logic. And that's kind of the point of these consultants. They can help engage in these kind of dialogue with the users, so that they can formulate these into like design documents and system analysis documents, and they can make it into a structure things. Once these structures are there, AI has no problem building these. But we found out that first of all, it's difficult for people to really structurally describe what the application they're trying to build. And secondly, they lack the incentive to do that, because it's still a lot of work. If you don't have to do it yourself, but only just talking about it in a structural, systematic way is still a lot of work. So that's the part that we have been putting a lot of resource into. We try to make this AI a more conversational, professional consultant that can do what a professional consultant would do, and try to help the users navigate through the system analysis, system design processes to create these kind of full system design for them, to get these domain knowledge out of their head.
We've heard this from others as well, Jeff. Really great insights. Thank you. Rob, over to you.
Hey, folks, if you like what you're listening to and you want to interact more with the analysis.tech team, we couldn't be easier to find. We are at analysis.tech. If you want to find out more about Ragic, couldn't be easier to find. Ragic, RAGIC.com. Hey, Jeff, let's get back to the while we're here today. All right, so we've entered this realm of AI assisted development, for better or for worse, probably for better. There's a lot of solutions out there that are manifesting themselves as code. There's a lot of things that are being developed by people who don't have a great deal of experience developing. And this creates risk, right? And one of the things we look at a platform like Ragic, platforms like yours have been dealing with this issue for a while, right? How do you mitigate risk around privacy and security and governance and data access, et cetera, in a world where people are not professional developers? How do you see this, and Ragic in particular, playing out in a world of AI development?
I think in terms of applying these AI technology into a product, and especially like Ragic, I think most of the work that we're doing is building the guardrails for AI to work inside Ragic, because it's actually surprisingly easy to just connect AI to your application so that it can do everything. So if it can just simply do everything, it's actually kind of simple. It's not that hard to connect. But the hard thing is that it needs the right guardrails, and the guardrail needs to be kind of flexible because the same guardrail doesn't apply to every application. We're not building a fixed application like a CRM system because the users, they have the flexibility to design any type of application they want. So the guardrails between different types of application will be really different. So the difficulty will lie in how the guardrails are structured and how do we engage the users in the conversations to generate these guardrails for them. Because before AI, of course, these kind of guardrails, we will have to have a lot of configurations, UIs, and giving AI instruction. You can do this with this data, and you can have these people read this data. And for AI, you can read this, and if this is here, then you can edit this. All these kind of rules. So these will have to be generated as guardrail rules and hard rules outside of AI. We can't expect AI to follow them themselves. We have to have an outside deterministic set of rules to check to make sure whatever AI do conforms to these guardrails that are generated by the users. So I think the most difficult and the most time-consuming part is to have the framework for our users to generate these guardrails. And when the users are actually building the applications, and of course, there will be a lot of work to engage in these conversations to make sure AI understands the guardrails that it's supposed to be executed on. So people say, usually the best AI implementation they're because they have the best guardrails. So I think in my experience, usually the guardrails, the harness kind of determines how well the AI implementation will be. So I think that's
couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, great. John, over to you.
What I find fascinating about your comment there, and thank you for that insight, Jeff. What I find really fascinating is the emphasis on the guardrails need to have a certain amount of flex because you'll apply them in different ways to different situations, different users, different parts of the business, etc. And I can imagine the difficulty because if I'm a business person trying to build an app, I'm thinking about the functions I want the app to perform, not necessarily about the guardrails.
Yes.
So how do you infer? How do you engage in the conversation? That I can imagine that's a very challenging piece of work for you. Jeff, these are great insights. One of the things that we're very curious about, as Rob mentioned, we being Americans, the old joke is, what do you call a person who speaks one language? An American. We tend to focus on North America. We tend to focus on Western Europe, but there's a big world out there, and we're hoping you can help us understand a little bit about the dynamics in Taiwan specifically, and other. You do business in other Asian markets as well. We're hoping you could just help us understand, like, for example, are people really adopting AI very aggressively? Are people still very interested in low code? In America, they say, well, low code's dead. AI killed it. We find in other parts of the world, not so much. It's alive. Oh, low code's alive and well. So I know it's a very broad question, but if you could help our audience understand a little bit about the dynamics of the markets you operate in, we'd appreciate it.
Okay. Well, to answer your first questions, and if the AI trend has effect on vendors like us selling no code, low code applications, I think especially when AI is the most popular in the first few years, there has definitely been we definitely has been affected a bit, at least, because the reason is kind of most companies, they want to find an AI solution so that they're not behind. So they kind of all allocated a pretty substantial part of their budget, so that, this is the money that we want to spend on AI. We cannot be behind on this. So basically, all products have to brand themselves as, we are AI. So you can give that money to us. We are AI. So everybody begins to do that, and we don't do that as much. We say we support AI. AI helps us build Ragic applications, but we're not exactly an AI applications. We're a little bit more honest. So so that kind of affects us, because a lot of the new users, they're just, are you an AI product? And because our boss are telling that we have to, do AI. So that definitely has some effect in the first few years. But I think the trend is not that extreme right now. So people are not going like full, I have to spend so much percentage of my budget in AI. So that part is a little bit better now. And in terms of the cultural differences between what we see from the English speaking market and the Taiwanese market or the Asian market, and before AI, we do see kind of a difference, because I definitely feels like the people from US or European users, they have a more do-it-yourself mentality. So that's kind of really good for these kind of builder products. So builder products, they thrive better in these English-speaking environments, because they're kind of used to, have a garage and build things. And people in Taiwan, because Taiwan is still our biggest Asian market, and people in Taiwan, they like to tell the vendors what to do. So they like having a vendor to help them and build the applications. So there are still a substantial percentage of people who like building applications themselves. So that's how we survived. So, but we can see the cultural difference in that people in like the Asian cultures, they're not as do it themselves, and they usually like to have vendors to serve them. And when something happens, they can blame the vendor or have something to back them, have someone to back them. Yeah,
always nice to have a throat to choke.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Jeff, this has been great, Jeff. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on today with us. Great insights across the board. Folks, if you want to know more about what Jeff Kuo is doing at Ragic, again, ragic.com, RAGIC.com, and check us out at analysis.tech. And again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, help us get the word out to like-minded folks. Thanks everybody for joining today.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, John.